Real people, real confessions, the stories you weren't supposed to hear. Welcome to Beyond Reddit Stories. I knew the wedding was going to be bad the moment I saw the style guide. 12 pages for a wedding. Not a fashion magazine. Not an Oscar red carpet. A wedding. But let's skip ahead to the best part, me. Standing in front of a mirror, wearing a dress that feels like it was sewn out of old curtains, and staring at my reflection, with neon green hair. Not just green radioactive, traffic light. Is that girl part parrot, kind of green? You might be wondering, why would anyone do that to themselves? Well, because sometimes, when life hands you a bridezilla, you hand her a meltdown wrapped in glitter and hairspray. The thing is, this wasn't just any bride. This was Emily, my so-called best friend since high school. The girl who once cried because the spotlight at our school play didn't hit her cheekbones right. Yeah, that girl. She had one rule for her bridesmaids. Hair must be pastel or neutral, which is cute. Except I like my hair the way it is, rich chocolate brown, healthy, professional, but according to Emily, my natural hair was too harsh for the aesthetic. So I had a choice: dye my hair to match her soft little cupcake fantasy, or don't show up at all. And guess what? I did dye my hair, just not the way she pictured it. Because if she wanted me to blend in, I was going to blend in like a toxic waste spill at a tea party. What happened next? Let's just say, when I walked into that wedding, every jaw in the room dropped, including the groom's. Before the neon disaster, before the 12-page wedding manifesto, before Emily transformed into a human Pinterest board with a god complex, I was just a regular person. I'm 28, work as a freelance graphic designer, live in a cozy apartment with more plants than furniture, and until recently considered myself a fairly low-maintenance friend. I don't pick fights. I don't insert myself into drama. I'm the person who will eat whatever you order and tell you it's great, just to avoid an argument. Emily and I met in high school. She was the kind of girl who treated every hallway like a runway and every group project like a personal branding opportunity. And me, I was the sidekick, quiet, adaptable, and apparently the perfect backdrop for her to shine. Over the years, we drifted in and out of touch, but when she got engaged, I got the "you have to be my bridesmaid" text. No question mark, no would you like to, just a statement, like she was announcing a mandatory staff meeting. I said yes. Why? Because I thought maybe this would be one of those heartwarming moments where you reconnect with an old friend, drink champagne, wear a pretty dress, and cry happy tears during the vows. Spoiler, it was none of those things. At first, it seemed manageable. There were group chats, Pinterest boards, and the occasional "we should all meet for brunch" that was really just an excuse for Emily to lecture us on seating charts. But slowly, the requests started coming in. The dress, custom-made, pale blush, and exactly one size too small for everyone Emily claimed it was to motivate us before the big day. The shoes, 4-inch heels in a color called Dusty Rose, which is basically beige with a commitment problem. The diet, apparently, no carbs until after the reception, because bread makes your face puff up in photos. I rolled my eyes, but I went along, because that's what I do. I keep the peace. And then came the hair request. Emily's aesthetic was pastel and airy, like we were all supposed to look like background characters in a cupcake bakery rom-com, which, fine, whatever, but my hair, dark brown, glossy, and basically my trademark. I've had jobs because of this hair. It photographs well. It frames my face. It's part of who I am. I told her I wasn't comfortable dyeing it. I thought that would be the end of it. But with Emily, no isn't a word, it's a challenge. That was when I realized I wasn't just a bridesmaid. I was a prop in her production. And the role she wanted me to play, silent, pastel, and obedient. If only she knew what was coming. It started with the style guide. Emily didn't just send a Pinterest mood board, she emailed us a professionally formatted 12-page PDF, complete with fonts, color codes, and a section literally titled Hair Compliance. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Hair should be soft, romantic, and in one of the following shades: pale rose, baby lavender, muted peach, or warm blonde. And then, like she'd personally been spying on my bathroom, she added dark brunette tones will not be accepted, they photograph too harsh. I stared at my screen for a good 5 minutes, wondering how my hair had somehow become the villain in her love story. So I replied, politely, "Hey, Emily. I think I'll just keep my natural color. It's part of my look for work, and I can style it to fit your theme without changing the color." She didn't respond right away. Instead, the group chat lit up. One bridesmaid, "Oh, come on, it's not a big deal, just dye it." Another, "We all agreed to match. Why can't you?" And then Emily herself, dropping in with, "It's my wedding, and I want it perfect. If you cared about me, you'd do this one small thing." That small thing was going to cost me hundreds at the salon, hours of upkeep, and potentially my next client shoot. But in her mind, my hesitation was just betrayal. The days that followed felt like a pressure cooker. Random phone calls from Emily, starting with fake niceties and ending with passive-aggressive comments. "Oh, you have time to get coffee with friends, but not to book a hair appointment. I guess I'll just have to crop you out of the bridal party photos if your hair ruins the aesthetic." It wasn't just her. Her mother called me. Her fiancé texted me, yes, the groom. "Hey, Emily's stressed. Can you just make it easy for her? It's her big day." I wanted to scream. Easy for her. I'd been bending over backwards for weeks, squeezing into a too small dress, teetering in heels I couldn't walk in, pretending to enjoy diet-friendly kale muffins at every brunch planning session. Then came the final straw. 1 week before the wedding, at 10:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a message from Emily. "Either dye it or don't show up." No emojis, no smiley faces. Just an ultimatum, cold and sharp. I sat there in bed, phone glowing in my hand, feeling this strange mix of anger, disbelief, and clarity. She'd made it clear my friendship didn't matter unless I obeyed. And that's when something in me snapped. This wasn't about hair anymore. It was about control. And if she wanted control, I was about to hand her the illusion of it right before flipping the whole thing upside down. I closed my laptop, turned off my phone, and lay there in the dark, smiling to myself as the plan began to take shape. She wanted me to dye my hair. Oh, I was going to dye my hair, just not the way she imagined. The next morning, I booked a salon appointment, not at the trendy pastel color specialist Emily recommended. No, I went to my guy Raphael, the same man who once turned a heartbroken woman's hair into a phoenix ombre that went viral on Instagram. If I was going to go down, I was going down in flames, bright, toxic waste green flames. When I told Raphael what I wanted, he paused mid-sip of his espresso. "Green, like forest green." "No," I said, grinning, "like traffic light green, like radioactive swamp fairy green." His eyes lit up. "Oh, honey, we're going neon." It took hours, foil, bleach, toner, then that blinding green dye that looked like it could glow in the dark. Raphael even added a touch of glitter at the roots, for drama, as he put it. When he spun my chair around and I saw myself, I didn't see a bridesmaid anymore. I saw a walking, talking plot twist. The wedding day. I arrived exactly on time, wearing the blush pink dress Emily had chosen tight enough to stop my circulation and my neon hair pulled into loose curls that bounced with every step. The room went silent. Bridesmaids froze mid-lipstick application. The photographer's jaw literally dropped. And then Emily saw me. Her eyes went wide, and for a moment, I thought she might actually faint. What is that?" she hissed, pointing at my head like it was a live animal. "You said pastel or neutral was non-negotiable," I replied sweetly. "So I figured I'd give you something memorable. Think of it as a statement piece." She dragged me into the hallway, heels clacking like gunshots. "You're ruining my wedding. This isn't funny," she snapped. "Oh, I think it's hilarious," I said, still smiling. "And honestly, green photographs great in outdoor lighting." Her voice rose an octave. "This is my day. Everything is supposed to be perfect." There it was, the truth. It had never been about friendship. It was about her perfect little fairy tale where everyone else was just a prop. Then she said something she'd probably been holding in for years. "You always have to stand out, don't you? You've been doing it since high school. You couldn't just fade into the background for once." It hit me like a cold wave, not because it hurt, but because it explained everything. This wasn't about hair color. This was about control, and maybe even envy. I just looked at her and said, "Maybe I'm not the background type." We went back inside. I stood through the ceremony, smiled for the photos, and even gave a short toast at the reception, my neon hair shimmering under the fairy lights like it was mocking the entire theme. And you know what? A few guests actually came up to me and said they loved it. One aunt whispered, "Best part of the wedding." Every time Emily caught sight of me, her smile tightened just a little more. Mission accomplished. After all the chaos, after the whispered comments and the shocked stares, I finally felt free. Not just free from the dress that cut off my circulation or the shoes that made me wobble like a newborn deer, but free from trying to be someone I wasn't. That neon green hair wasn't just a rebellion, it was a declaration. A declaration that I won't let anyone else paint me into their perfect little box, no matter how much glitter they sprinkle on it. You know, friendships, even the closest ones, don't have to mean sacrificing your identity. I learned that sometimes. Standing your ground looks like bright green hair and a few raised eyebrows. And that's okay. I got messages after the wedding from other bridesmaids, from friends who had been silently rooting for me. Thank you for being real. You showed me it's okay to say no. You inspired me to stand up for myself. That's when I realized this wasn't just about me or Emily's wedding. It was about every person who's ever felt pressured to change who they are for someone else's idea of perfect. So here's my question to you. When have you had to choose between fitting in and standing out? And how did you decide which was more important? Because at the end of the day, the most important person you have to live with is yourself. And sometimes, that means being a little radioactive. So, what do you think? Did I go too far with the neon green hair? Or was it exactly the kind of colorful rebellion this Bridezilla needed? If you've ever been caught in a situation where someone demanded you change who you are, whether it's a wedding, a job, or even just a toxic friendship, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and let's get real about setting boundaries and standing up for ourselves. If you enjoyed this wild ride, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories that make you laugh, think, and sometimes raise an eyebrow or two, because life's too short to blend in, especially when you can glow bright green. Thanks for listening. See you in the next story.